The gentleman has expired. Ms. Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Whitaker, for agreeing to appear before us today. And I'm delighted to hear of your department's focus on the scourge of gun violence, and so I look forward to your full endorsement and support for H.R. 8, the Universal Background Check Bill. Today you said a couple of things that really touched me. You said that you have to set the tone of the department, and you said that the job you are doing now is the honor of a lifetime. All of us here can quite imagine that. I believe that actually you do, as the head, as the acting AG, set the tone for the department. Tell me, and this is not a negative question, it is just a factual question, how many positions did you interview for with this administration prior to you going to the Department of Justice?
As we previously explored with one of your colleagues, I had interviewed preliminarily for the position that ultimately Ty Cobb occupied, and then Emmett Flood, I think, currently occupies. And then I interviewed with General Sessions and some of his staff for the Chief of Staff job. So, in fact, I had never, after the election of 2016, I had never intended to come into the administration, but I was happy to be asked, and I explored opportunities, and those are the two that I interviewed for.
And in the meantime, in your private life, you became a commentator on CNN and other places, and you disparaged the Mueller investigation. Is that true?
I used my experience as a United States
Is it true, yes or no?
attorney. No, I wouldn't characterize it as disparagement, no. I think I tried to explain to the American people when I was on CNN and other outlets how the process worked, how the process for appointment, how the process for the
No, I'm not asking you about process. I'm asking you about the subject and the investigation and the validity of the investigation. We know, the record is public, that you did say very negative things in your private life. And you have said today you're not willing to take those back, so they stand. Your thoughts on the Mueller investigation are fully public, and they stand because you did not take them back today. How did you learn of the extraordinary honor that was bestowed upon you? How did you learn you got the job?
You know, I can't remember if it was which preceded which, but I believe I received a phone call from the President of the United States asking me to be the acting Attorney General.
A moment ago you said you learned by tweet. Did I misunderstand you?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay, so you learned first by a phone call from the President.
I believe so, but they were very close in time, and so I actually, as I sit here right now, I can't remember which preceded which.
Okay, and how long was that phone call? Was it just simply, I'm letting you know of this, or was there substantive conversation about your role?
While I'm not going to discuss the private conversations I've had with the President, I think it's important that he is entitled to that confidentiality from a cabinet secretary, even acting like I am.
Okay,
I will tell you that it was not a substantive phone call.
It was an honor phone call probably. And following that and the tweet, when did you next meet with the President about your job? Because it's during this time you have to decide.
I don't remember.
It's during this time, in that month or more, that you have to decide whether or not to recuse. Am I right? So how many times did you meet with the President prior to your decision not to recuse?
Congresswoman, while I'm not going to discuss any meetings that I've had with the President nor conversations, I will tell you that I interact with the President on a regular basis, including after I was appointed acting Attorney General.
You said you set the tone for the entire department, and so you had to carefully consider whether or not to recuse yourself from any dealings with Mueller.
I spent five weeks considering that question.
And you got information from two sources that we know of. Career officials at the Justice Department recommended you recuse yourself to avoid the appearance of a conflict or bias. Is that correct? And that was on December 19th. To avoid even the appearance of a conflict or bias based on your previous statements. Is that correct? Is that the advice you got?
Congresswoman,
it's a yes or no. Please, my time is running out.
I would just point you to the
and
letter.
I've waited a long time. Please, it's a yes or no.
This question is not a yes or no question because you have to understand how it was my decision to make. The career ethics officials
I'm not talking about your decision.
I'm
talking about the guidance that you received, not your decision.
It was not their decision to make.
No. I'm asking you factually about the guidance you received. Career officials told you you should recuse to avoid even the appearance of an impropriety, a bias, and you set the tone for your department. Am I correct?
Congresswoman, they told me it was a close call. They said it could go either way. And they said
so to set the tone, you think on a close call, you go the other way?
As the Attorney General, and not to bind my successors, yes, I believe on a close call as the Attorney General of the United States that I made the right decision. It was my decision to make.
And yet you had career, have I lost my time, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Oh,
get this question out. I'll let him answer it. That'll be that.
Would you be able to provide us the written guidance that you got from the career professionals in terms of recusal? They recommended recusal. Would you please provide this committee that written document?
Congresswoman, that would require me to provide you internal deliberations that are not typically provided in this relationship, but I can tell you, as we sit here today, I did not receive any written advice from the career ethics officials.
The time of the gentlelady has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.